The Philippines is quietly transforming into a fortress in the Pacific, and the U.S. is building the walls. From secretive naval upgrades to new airstrips near China's patrol routes, Washington is accelerating its military partnership with Manila like never before. Why? Because the South China Sea is heating up, and the stakes couldn't be higher. For years, the U.S. has been strengthening the Philippines' defenses, upgrading bases, building new facilities, and preparing for high-end operations against rising Chinese aggression. Now, that cooperation is moving at lightning speed. Together, they're creating a network of 28 forward operating bases, strategically scattered across the archipelago, many near hotspots like the West Philippine Sea and Philippine Rise. In Palawan, a new maintenance hub worth 56 million pesos is under construction to support patrol ships and unmanned vessels. Meanwhile, Balabac Island is getting a 3-kilometer runway, placing U.S. and Philippine forces just a short hop from China's patrol routes. Piece by piece, island by island, the Philippines is building a defense shield, and the U.S. is making sure it has the muscle to back it up. With $500 million in upgrades, new barracks, piers, and drone systems, this alliance is rewriting the balance of power in Asia. The question is, will it be enough to hold the line against China? Stay tuned. In September, Washington took another major step. The Pentagon awarded a contract to upgrade Naval Detachment Oyster Bay in Palawan, a province facing the disputed waters head-on. A New Mexico-based firm was tapped to build a new maintenance hub worth over 56 million pesos, designed to support small Philippine Navy craft and unmanned surface vessels operating near the South China Sea. At the same time, the Philippine government is finishing the construction of a major new runway on Balabac Island, a 3-kilometer airstrip intended for both military and civilian use. Balabac sits just a short hop from China's aggressive patrol routes, making it one of the most valuable locations under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA. Once completed, it will significantly boost air and naval operations for both the Philippines and the United States. From these facilities, Manila launches Cyclone-class patrol ships provided by the U.S., along with marine fast boats monitoring Chinese activity. And with China's Navy, Coast Guard, and maritime militia repeatedly confronting Philippine vessels at sea, these bases have become essential lifelines in a dispute that shows no signs of easing. Recent documents reveal that new infrastructures, like Oyster Bay, are being built specifically to support unmanned naval systems, a key part of the Philippines' modernized defense strategy. Last year, the U.S. delivered 5 advanced MARTAC unmanned surface drones and trained Filipino operators right in Palawan. This upgrade is just one piece of a much larger construction wave, all funded by the United States to help Manila counter increasing Chinese pressure, and Washington isn't slowing down. After a series of dangerous encounters within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, waters Beijing still claims entirely, the U.S. doubled down on support. Alongside Oyster Bay, new American-funded sites are rising in southern Palawan. New barracks, maintenance hubs, and staging points will push Philippine small boat units closer to flashpoints like Second Thomas Shoal and Sabina Shoal. U.S. and Philippine Marines have already trained side by side in these waters, practicing small boat tactics designed for defending the archipelago's narrow channels and shallow reefs. All these upgrades, amounting to roughly $500 million or 28 billion pesos, feed into America's commitment to modernize the Philippine military and help establish a stronger maritime shield. Palawan, the Philippines' westernmost fortress, sits right on the doorstep of the South China Sea, and it's now becoming a major hub for U.S. forces under EDCA. Balabac, in particular, hosts one of the Navy's most strategic stations. That base is now receiving its own upgrades, including plans for a new causeway and pier that will strengthen its role as a forward operating point for Philippine and American units. Piece by piece, island by island, runway by runway, the Philippines is building a defense network designed to withstand pressure from the region's biggest military power, and the U.S. is making sure it has the muscle to back it up. Once completed, this new infrastructure will be capable of hosting larger ships, even amphibious transports, thanks to a pier designed with the size of a frigate or destroyer in mind. The naval station's upgrades also include a beach ramp and staging area, making it easier to bring in materials for future EDCA projects. The runway alone costs about $3.1 million, while the naval base improvements will require another $5.5 million, both funded directly by the Philippine government. Like the airstrip, many of these projects began before EDCA and are part of Manila's long-term development agenda, focusing on opening southern regions to new investment, improving mobility, and boosting tourism. At the same time, the Philippines is rapidly strengthening its maritime defenses, upgrading multiple naval facilities in key locations, including the new Balabac Island base under the U.S.-Philippines Basing Agreement, as well as a former American installation in Luzon. Beyond Balabac, the Navy is actively planning and building additional bases throughout the archipelago. This expansion comes as tensions in the South China Sea rise, and Filipino sailors continue facing harassment from Chinese vessels. With the Navy acquiring more warships and modern equipment, the government is rolling out its strategic basing plan, a long-term blueprint set to mature by 2040. Its goal: strengthen the nation's presence in vital maritime corridors and prepare existing bases to support both current and incoming fleets. In recent years, the Philippines has significantly boosted its naval power, acquiring frigates, offshore patrol vessels, sea-lift ships, fast attack craft, radars, and missile systems. More warships from South Korea are also on the way. Backed by the United States, Manila is now pushing to reinforce its defenses in northern Luzon, especially in the Batanes Islands, just a short distance from Taiwan. For 2 consecutive years, 2024 and 2025, U.S. and Philippine forces held combat exercises in Batanes to practice defending the country's northernmost territory. Following the latest rounds of training, both nations called for new infrastructure on the islands, projects partly funded by the U.S. These include expanded ports capable of handling large vessels, airport upgrades for bigger aircraft, and facilities designed for crisis response, from conflict scenarios to humanitarian missions. In recent months, the two allies have also begun building a joint facility on Itbayat, Batanes' largest island, aimed at countering China's growing military footprint in the region. To reinforce territorial defense, the Philippine Navy opened a naval detachment on Mavulis Island in 2023, meant to store emergency supplies and support future operations. The U.S. Army describes the facility as a weatherproof warehouse, designed to hold gear and provisions for both disasters and potential conflict. This northern chain of islands, right in the heart of the Luzon Strait, has taken on new strategic importance as tensions grow with Beijing and concerns rise about a potential Chinese move against Taiwan. Earlier this year, the armed forces of the Philippines commissioned a forward operating base on Batan Island, enhancing surveillance and readiness across the area. Meanwhile, Manila is also fortifying its position in the West Philippine Sea, with Pagasa Island serving as a crucial staging point. The government continues to upgrade military and civilian infrastructure there as part of a broader plan to reinforce the Philippines' presence in the Kalayaan Island group. With effective occupation and control, Manila asserts sovereignty within Pagasa's 12 nautical mile territorial sea, an area lying beyond the West Philippine Sea's usual boundaries, but still central to the regional dispute. Pagasa lies directly in the path of China's expanding ambitions in both the West Philippine Sea and the wider South China Sea. Multi-billion peso investments are transforming the island, including a newly completed runway at Rancudo Airfield, a nearly finished sheltered port, an aircraft hangar, and a control tower. These improvements are part of a nationwide push to upgrade force posture, logistics, and surveillance across the region. To strengthen its foothold, the Philippines continues to develop Pagasa's defenses, adding a sheltered harbor, a beaching ramp, a Coast Guard station, and an enhanced airstrip capable of supporting military cargo aircraft. Pagasa gives us strategic depth, officials say. It acts as a buffer for mainland Palawan, which lies almost 600 kilometers from Manila. The island's importance is rooted in its location, its civilian population, and its permanent landmass, which gives the Philippines a strong legal claim under international law. Pagasa generates its own 12 nautical mile territorial sea and sits just west of Loida Bank and a mere 14.4 miles from Subic Reef, one of China's heavily militarized artificial islands. Analysts warn that rising air traffic over Pagasa increases the risk of dangerous encounters between Philippine and Chinese aircraft, especially since China has built 7 militarized outposts in the Spratlys and a sprawling 3,200-hectare network of man-made islands across the South China Sea. In recent years, American investments in Philippine military infrastructure have expanded across Subic Bay and all 9 EDCA sites. These bases allow rotational U.S. forces to operate in the Philippines and host American-funded improvements, tying the two allies even closer as the region faces one of its most unstable eras in decades. With China building artificial islands and pushing deeper into the South China Sea, the armed forces of the Philippines is accelerating one of its biggest military upgrades in decades. At the center of this effort is Subic Bay, the former home of the U.S. 7th Fleet Service and Logistics Hub until 1992. Just 50 miles northwest of Manila and facing directly into contested waters, Subic is now back in the spotlight as the Philippines and the United States renew their security cooperation. But this time, the AFP isn't just revitalizing old ground. They're building something much bigger. The Philippine Navy is laying the foundation for what could become its largest and most modern naval base, not in Luzon, but in the southern Philippines. The new base and dockyard will rise inside a massive industrial zone in northern Mindanao, turning the area into a critical logistics and operations hub for the entire AFP. The Department of National Defense is set to secure roughly 300 hectares of land inside the state-owned 3,000-hectare Fividec estate in Tagoloan, Misamis Oriental. This sprawling site will become the Navy's main operational center for northern Mindanao and the Visayas, perfectly placed for external defense missions and the growing fleet of modern warships. Officials chose the location carefully. It has a wide coastal frontage, naturally deep waters, and enough space to berth large vessels, including frigates and even future submarines. Once the land transfer clears, construction of a state-of-the-art dockyard will begin immediately. The Navy needs the space. Its current home base in Cavite is overcrowded and outdated, especially with 8 new South Korean-built vessels arriving soon as part of the Navy's modernization program. These will join the Navy's existing fleet of Korean frigates, a corvette, Indonesian ships, and multiple vessels acquired or donated by the United States. This expansion reflects a major shift within the Philippine military. After decades focused on counterinsurgency, the AFP is now pivoting toward territorial defense, driven by escalating tensions in the West Philippine Sea. Backed by the country's largest defense budgets in history and deeper ties with allies like the US, Japan, Australia, and key NATO members, the Philippines is rapidly upgrading its hardware, technology, and maritime capabilities. The rise of the modern Philippine military is happening at a crucial time for the Indo-Pacific. As the South China Sea becomes one of the world's most volatile flashpoints, Manila's push to modernize and strengthen its alliances is more than routine military planning. It's a clear message. The Philippines is preparing to defend its sovereignty, its waters, and its future. The Philippines is building a shield, piece by piece, island by island. But with China's presence growing stronger every day, the question remains: will these upgrades be enough when the first real test comes? The clock is ticking.